last angel falls, the fight for mankind begins. Because this is Slashers, a horror movie podcast brought to you by two goons with nothing better to do on whatever night we decided to record this week. Spoiler alert, still Wednesday, just like it was last week and the week before that and a few weeks before that, because that's our schedule that works out best considering we're dads. This is Dad Edition. High five.
Woo!
Yeah, Brian with his free wheeling dealing life, his irresponsible nature.
Oh, yeah.
You
Those
miss
were the
those days?
days. No, I don't really.
Yeah, being a dad is actually pretty cool.
It's way better. Way less sleep. I think you're more grumpy, but it's still way better.
Well, when I was single and alone, I was grumpy for other reasons. So, I mean, I'd rather be grumpy from lack
Blue
of
balls.
sleep. Oh, yeah. I remember those days. Still got them, but they're in my wife's purse now, so it doesn't bother me as much.
Right, yeah.
So, Chad, it's been a while since you've been on the show.
Yes.
God bless you for coming back. You excited to edit on your own face again?
No, it's definitely weird watching yourself and editing.
It's
Yeah.
awful.
It is. Like, and hearing yourself. I was like, I sound like a total, like, I don't even know.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Or when there have been times where I've listened back, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I was thinking at the time, and I know I was wrong, and I wish I could correct it. And there have been times where I've literally had the conundrum of being like, do you think anybody would notice if I went to the garage and I put on my microphone and I overdubbed it? I was like, that's not worth the effort, man. Just be wrong.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is I was like, oh, I had this other thing I was gonna say, and I didn't say that, and yeah, I think it was just a lot of like regrets.
What could have been.
Yes.
The commentary that could have been.
Yes, definitely.
But I think you did a great job. We actually got some people who reached out. One fella said Brian better watch out for his job because producer Chad's about to swing his big old dick around. Paraphrasing a little bit, but I mean, it's there.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you, whoever that was.
I think it was Jason. I don't know. Justin. Somebody. If you're watching this and I got your name wrong, I'm sorry. That's all I can say. I sincerely apologize. We love all of our fans, of which there are not plenty.
There's just so many we can't keep track.
Jesus Christ.
Countless numbers, yet we only have like 50 followers on YouTube. So
yeah, what is that, dog? The quest to 100. If you can, just take a look. Like, I've made fun of it. Fucking PewDiePie, that fucking guy who's like, oh yeah, racist shit comes out of my mouth and I'm relevant because reasons. I have never watched one of his movies, but I know that children are obsessed with making fake emails to make fake YouTube accounts just to subscribe to him because he's against somebody named T-Series.
I have no idea what you're talking about in any way.
It's literally two accounts that people create fake accounts to follow to change statistics. It's the dumbest thing in the world, and y'all can't spare 100 follows for us so we could have a custom URL.
Yeah, come on, guys. Not that hard.
Yeah, one of my favorite followers that we have is this gal, Heidi Doe. And she made a great joke one time because she and I were playing back and forth. You know how men generally are like, hey, sweetheart, why don't you smile?
Right.
So I did the reverse, and I was like, you don't scowl enough. And we were just talking about how her friends were going to be like, woman power, I'm going to throw a tampon at you. And she was like, what even is a slasher spod? And I keep having this fear that somebody named Slasher Spot is going to steal our URL instead of Slasher's Pod. So
okay,
if y'all could, don't fuck around with us. So Chadwick Wizzle,
yes.
the first von Rothersberger.
Mm-hmm.
What movie are we reviewing this week?
Legion. And I really like this movie.
Yeah, dude. It's dumb. Don't get me wrong, but it is fun.
I think most people hate it, but there's
Unjustly.
like several movies though that kind of like fit this style where I don't think it like tons of money was spent, made pretty quickly. They're just kind of like a mix of genres.
Yeah.
And I like them all.
It's harmless.
Yeah. I think like you could group in like a Constantine movie is kind of like this.
Exactly.
The Priest, which is also the same director, same like actor. They're all like entertaining to me because they're trying to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I enjoy the most out of them is that it's not just some, I don't know, formulaic, Well,
I like this movie doesn't try and start necessarily a franchise. Like it kind of did, but you watch Dracula Untold and the whole fucking movie is building towards something. You're just like, okay, then why am I watching this movie? Show me the rest of the franchise that's so important.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, here's a self-contained story. If we wanted to make a sequel, we could. I miss that.
Right.
As I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, the first couple Underworld movies, I think I've only seen 2 of them, but the 2 were like, they don't end on cliffhangers. They're like self-contained movies, and then the franchise just kind of built out of that. Versus from the first one being like, okay, well, there's this tremendous threat. Here's our version of Thanos. Here's the thing that you need to wait for. This was just like, all right, well, we'll just make movie by movie and see what happens.
It kind of ends on a cliffhanger in all of them, I believe.
Really?
Yeah,
I
because
misremembered the fuck out of that then.
I think after like they accomplish everything, she has like the voiceover where they're like, and there's still other, vampires out there, and
But not
but
like,
not like, yeah, not like a visual,
not like Empire Strikes Back, where you're like, what the fuck?
right, yeah, no, nothing that like big, but yeah.
Could you imagine like the cultural impact that Empire Strikes Back had, and having to wait for years until Return of the Jedi?
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy.
And it's before like the Make-A-Wish Foundation was around, so the terminally ill kids just died, and they
Yeah.
didn't get to see an early screening or anything. That's the great injustice of our world.
Yes. I've started to lose interest on stuff that like takes way too long, and it's hard. There's so much content out there now that like if a movie takes way too long for the sequel, I'm done. That's
Yeah,
why I was
dude.
happy with Avengers like being so quick. Like
Every one
one
of
year,
'em.
I was like, oh, that's fine.
And that's one of the things that I really think that Marvel has been successful with, and it looks like they're gonna be diversifying more in the future, which helps. I just read they're doing, the Ghost Rider with Robbie Reyes, which is fucking great. If you like comics, as far as reboots go, I think that is one of the most interesting takes on revamping a character, but Chad and I have talked about this. I like the revamping of characters. I really enjoy Sam Wilson as Captain America, but I also like Bucky Barnes as Captain America. I like Jane Foster as Thor. I guess spoilers if you haven't. But I don't like, people want to talk about like, oh, it's pandering. It's just trying to get a female demographic or a black demographic or whatever. Okay. But the art is the thing. You're commoditizing art, but you're commoditizing art in everything that you do, whether it's a movie or a radio show. Even this one day could be commoditized if we get 100 fucking followers. My point being, people want to act like art is sacrosanct. Art is a transactional experience. And so I was reading the Captain America with Sam Wilson, and there's a great scene where they're trying to politicize him buying Girl Scout cookies because there's a
Okay.
little black girl, there's a little white girl, there's this other girl, and they're like, which one's he gonna buy from? But it was such a great tongue-in-cheek moment
He
of
buys all of them.
no, he only had $5. They made a point
Oh.
of that too. And the cynicism of it all, I think that it's super cool. Anyway, if you haven't read Robbie Reyes, one of the things I wanted to talk about on the show was doing was tips for the well-rounded fright fan, which was content that's not necessarily horror that we enjoy. I thought about doing it at the end of the show, but hey, let's do it at the beginning because why the hell not?
Yeah.
I just punched my microphone. I got so excited. What's your favorite revamped superhero if you have one?
Oh God, I don't know. You'll have to go first.
Oh, geez. I really like Bucky Barnes Captain America. I think that plot was really great. It fit on a lot of levels for me because I mean I have the original Captain, or it's an Avengers series. I think it's Death Be Not Proud, where they go back in time and Captain America has to watch Bucky die again. So
Oh,
to me, when they brought Winter Soldier back, it was like this huge thing, and I was like, "This is badass." And then so for him to take that mantle meant a lot because I have read that story, and I mean, I spent more than I should have on that comic, and to have that kind of come to fruition and have this mantle and this idea of redemption, I thought was really rad. And
hmm,
also, it kind of kick-started the whole people taking the mantle, like X-23 becoming Wolverine and so forth.
right. I love that movie, by the way.
Oh,
W- uh,
Logan?
no, I love Logan, but I also loved Winter Soldier.
Oh, dude,
Yeah, I think it was like one of the best Marvel ones
I
for
think I
sure.
saw that 6 times in theaters.
Yeah, it was great. Like you could take it out of the Marvel world, just have it a spy movie, and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's like a Bourne movie.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Yeah. So, sorry, we're talking about superheroes for so long. I don't know if people care. There is a lot of overlap when it comes to horror and, comic books and
Oh,
stuff,
for sure.
but what's sad is there is a tremendous amount of overlap if you're into the actual genre, but if you're into like, let's say you're just a casual moviegoer who's gonna see Avengers, that person's not likely to be the crossover fan. But if you're the person who's read the Avengers, 9 times out of 10, I can find that person and we can find at least some horror movie to bond over.
Right, yeah. And isn't there a Marvel horror movie coming out soon? Like,
Oh, that Brightburn movie?
no,
That's
that's
James
like,
Gunn, but it's
yeah,
not
that's not,
Marvel.
no. I think there's a different one.
Oh, you're talking about New Mutants.
Yeah, New
Yeah,
Mutants.
it's
Yeah,
been postponed, when Disney bought
which is
20th
always a
Century
bad sign, but
Yeah, but, like, the postponement has gone on, and
right.
they did a bunch of reshoots on that Dark
Some of the
Phoenix movie.
previews look kinda interesting, and I was like, "Oh, that might be cool." So
Why the fuck not? You just that's the thing, you just lost.
right.
By doing these reshoots and everything, you're not the first. Brightburn's gonna be the first.
Right, exactly.
And the
And
thing
it's
is
the same thing as, like, I was anticipating it, and now I'm waiting way too long, and again, it's like, alright."
lost interest.
Yeah.
In fact, I will feel betrayed if I watch that movie and it hasn't been made better, which it won't.
Right, no,
But that's
there's
just
no
because I
way
have
because
'cause
they're not gonna
expectation.
reshoot the whole thing, and yeah.
Yeah,
A couple reshoots is never gonna save a movie.
never.
Yeah, so
Like, if you've read the underlying
taking
source
stuff out,
material
like Star Wars,
yeah,
makes it better.
I think so. Simplifying. Like that's one of the I argue all the time when it comes to Star Wars. A New Hope was saved on the editing room floor. If you listen to
Right,
most people in the
right.
know, and so simplicity, like the Force being so simplified and vague, kind of goes back to that episode we did a couple weeks. The Void. I like the vagueness of it.
Right, yeah, definitely, I agree.
Yeah, simplifying things instead of over explaining things. That even goes to Legion. They could have explained fucking everything.
Yes.
Right? They could have explained the backstory with Michael and Gabriel and how he chose Charlie and why would he bring a new Christ? Why does there need to be a new Christ? Is it in the book of Revelations? There's no whatever.
Right.
But instead they're just like, here's this movie. Fucking enjoy it.
Yes, yeah.
And so I guess the roundabout way of getting to where we were talking about is this movie, Underworld, Priest, they feel like just comic book issues. And I'm fine with that.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's just a simple, like, story, pretty sweet action for the most part.
Yeah.
And, even the horror scenes are, like, good. I think, you could easily, like, put a little bit more effort into the horror and it would be, like, even better.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think that's probably the cheapest part is,
It's a
like
tweener.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I think that if you spare a little bit of money on some of the action stuff, like just blankly shooting off of a roof with a gun and spend a little bit more time on some of the practical effects when it comes to like the diner scenes,
Right,
this could be like an all-time,
right,
but it's not because it's a tweener.
right, yeah. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you reduce the action, you could have made it into a pretty dang awesome, like, horror movie.
But that's, I think one of the things too is at least 2009, you're talking about kind of untested territory when you're doing a big budget horror action film in
Right.
that kind of realm where they lean harder on the action and less on the horror and use horror as kind of, some of the subgenre. But I think this movie, if it was horror with a subgenre of action, nails it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And the action definitely just keeps the movement going a lot.
And it's so vague, some of the action, but like the ending fight is pretty
Oh, dude,
badass.
I love that fight.
Yeah. I really love the wings and stuff. So we'll get into that when I goddamn feel like it. How about that shit?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I feel like it now. In terms of any kind of trivia or anything for this episode, the show was followed up by a sci-fi series called Dominion, which I can't find fucking anywhere without paying for it. And I certainly don't want to pay for a show I
You
don't know if
don't.
I'm going to like.
I watched the whole first season and I think part of the second, and I remember almost nothing because it wasn't that great. Whoa. That was
Chad,
incredible.
He created a memorable moment by punching our semi-brand new mic stands.
All with this little finger.
Yeah, it's all right. So we get into the stabtistics for the week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, made on a
No
budget of
graphics of any kind, just statistics.
knife here. I want. Oh. Can you do Ultraman here? I love Ultraman.
Licensing, we probably can't.
Did you know at one point there was a survey that I read that Ultraman was the second most recognizable symbol in the world?
Really?
Yeah, it was Mickey Mouse, Ultraman, and then the Ghostbusters logo.
Huh. Interesting.
In terms of branding, because this is back when I was doing stuff in graphic design. I was like, that makes perfect sense. And what's so funny is that so many Americans are like, oh, do you know what Ultraman is? Let's talk about it. Send me your feelings, your thoughts, your concerns.
Yeah.
I would love to, like, how about this? I would love to see an awesome movie where it's like Ultraman or it's Voltron or it's Power Rangers, something to that effect, but horror.
Yeah,
You
that'd be
could
pretty
make
cool.
something like that fucking
Yeah.
terrifying.
I think they just released a Ultraman on Netflix, like a new one.
Yeah, the anime kind of
Yeah,
thing.
but
Yeah.
it's like shitty CG and
Yeah,
yeah, it's not very good. I started watching, I was like, the artwork loses me on this one.
for sure.
It just does. Like,
Even the still images, which are supposed to be the best part, not doing it.
no, yeah, I agree.
But like, think about Cloverfield, right? I thought Cloverfield was super successful. So just imagine a human being's perspective of that kind of kaiju fight.
Yeah,
That could be
I see
so
it.
sick.
Yeah.
But it's just they're not gonna do it. Whatever. Fuck what I want, right? But I am super stoked for Godzilla and you know, King of Monsters and then Godzilla versus Kong. And I'm a sucker for all those though. So
Yeah, I've seen every single Godzilla movie.
yeah. I think I've talked about it pretty proudly on this show that when Super Video Plus went out of business in Glendora, I owed them like 38, 36.78, I think was the in total in late fees because of all my Godzilla. Because I would rent one and I was like always staggering it to try and get it in the perfect order for like a weekend viewing. And there'd be one missing. So I'm like, all right, fine. Then I'm just gonna sit on this one. And then when it comes in, I'm gonna rent that too.
Yeah.
I was a fucking weird kid. I was like Machiavellian scheming, like, all right. Not
Uh,
fuck me, fuck you.
and if you ever paid for those fees, it was useless because I worked at Hollywood Video, and if you complain, they would just be like, "Oh, okay, we'll just get rid of them."
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, they didn't care. They just wanted you to keep renting because they're like, "Oh, you'll just go to some other store."
Yeah. And they want you to buy the stupid popcorn and stuff that they have a
Right,
tremendous markup on.
exactly. Huge markup.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
You know who has a huge markup? Costco. You ain't fooling me, bitch. We checked the price per roll when it came to toilet paper. Tried to fuck me in the ass with that toilet paper. I'm not handling it. Go to Target for that shit. You a Target guy?
My wife is.
She's a Target guy?
Well, I don't know.
This
haven't
is
checked.
baby. Anyway, the budget on this film, 26 million, not bad. Gross, 67.9 million.
Oh,
That's a
dang.
win.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if you consider
I'm surprised they didn't like do some sort of second
official
movie.
sequel.
Right, yeah.
Well, I think that's where Dominion comes in.
Yeah, but it was on Sci-Fi Channel, which most of the stuff that they make is just
But at that time, they're trying to
atrocious.
legitimize sci-fi. Remember
That's
Eureka
true.
being
They did
so
put a
big?
ton of money into Dominion, I believe.
Yeah.
It's definitely big, a lot of cast members and everything, so.
And at that time, doing well-developed television that was high cost, you didn't
Right.
have fucking Game of Thrones at that point.
Right.
Sorry again. Well, actually, it's not far
Maybe,
off. Yeah, actually,
you
no,
might have.
that's crazy to think that show's been going on that long.
Right.
So opening weekend, January 22nd, 2010. I think this is before I start law school. You know what movie comes out the same weekend?
What movie?
Don't you dare look at my notes, you son of a bitch. Tooth Fairy with The Rock.
I watched that movie in theaters pre-kids.
I love that movie. It's about hockey. It has the most charming professional wrestler of all time, and Billy Crystal returned to the silver screen for it. What's not to like?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Perfect. The runtime, 100 minutes. Is it easy breezy, beautiful cover girl?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. It's very easy. It just flows pretty much straight into like horror, then action, then horror, then action, and then you're done.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of fat to trim.
Oh yeah,
but
well,
that's just because they're not leaning into horror. If they were doing suspense properly and building the
Right.
ambiance, then fine. But
I mean, come on, it's like literally in the diners the entire movie too. So
it's a
there's-
great idea though. This
Right.
is the fucking phone booth of horror action movies because you have, you're either in a diner or you're in front of a green screen, and that's the movie,
Yeah, exactly.
which is awesome.
Yeah, super simple to film cheaply too. So.
Exactly. Which, we have looked into film production and we have a good friend who's sending us over some stuff. Gonna work on a secret project. Gotta keep it on the down low, but stay tuned. I'm excited for all that. I'm excited for everything. Like, if you're a creator, you create content. If it's music, if it's art, we have a bunch of stuff in the works to try and represent artists of all genres, creators of all types, whether you're doing something in horror, you're doing something in burlesque. I don't care. Share it with us. If we like it, we'll share along. We won't charge you. We don't, as of yet, we've never been paid. Don't Get Stabbed never paid us, but we supported them because we like their product. There's my plug. Whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, we have slasherspod@gmail.com. We have a P.O. box. Whatever. Let us know. Happy to help. Moving on. directed by Scott Stewart, who also did Priest within the same year that came out the next year. Also with Paul Bettany, blah blah blah,
Right.
who did Dark Skies and then a bunch of TV shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't see any of his TV stuff. I think
No.
other than did he do Dominion as well? Or?
He was like of consult, but I don't think he actually directed.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I don't think I saw much of that.
Did you see Priest?
Yeah.
I remember thinking Priest was pretty badass.
Yeah, I liked it. It's again, it's like the exact same formula for this movie.
Yeah,
Add a little bit of horror with like the vampires and then priests kill them and have a lot of action. It's a little bit more like anime, more action.
Yes.
But yeah.
Very Trigun in its presentation.
Yes.
Which I can't believe I even know that reference. I don't think I've ever finished a full episode of it, but I know the art for that is so iconic.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So, and I guess that would make this kind of more Cowboy Bebop. Is that a good reference? Because of the way he's got that stylized kind of. Well, no, because he ends up in a fucking fisherman's vest later. I was talking about that jacket that he has at the beginning.
Right. No.
Not good.
I don't. Yeah. I don't know what. It
My
doesn't
bad.
pop into my mind yet what anime would flow with it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I wish that there was a third one with Paul Bettany and Scott Stewart that was a different genre, like maybe some kind of action fight thing in Atlantis or something weird. So you'd have kind of almost a Man Without a Name trilogy in this really weird thing, you know?
Right.
Like, I'd love the Man Without a Name trilogy. I think that's probably, in terms of like a franchise, if you will, top 3 for me.
Okay.
I think that the content's great. I think that the reinvention is great. I love that concept. And so if Paul Bettany was effectively, Blondie, and each one was so different, but some of the set pieces were the same, the creative perspective was the same, I'd really enjoy it.
Okay. You mentioned Atlantis, and I've been like, I love the story of Atlantis, but I've never really seen like a really good movie adaptation of like anything.
What about
revolving
Aquaman? I mean, fucking sharks with laser beams on their heads.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't do the Dr. Evil voice. I didn't have to because you all know it. You heard it in your heads.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'd also like a movie about Atlantis.
Have you seen the animated Atlantis movie?
Yeah.
It's fucking good, right?
It's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, like, I won't, maybe saying good isn't. The whole scene in Atlanta. Yeah, I guess maybe it's bad. What's the other one that came out?
I like how you went from like step. You're like, oh, it's good. Oh yeah, I mean,
I think I just like
it's bad.
The French guy who blows shit up. I like.
Yeah.
What was the other movie that came out around kind of the same time? It's exploratory. I think I like that one.
The Road to El Dorado.
That's DreamWorks, but I do love the Road to El Dorado. If only because there's that animated GIF where somebody put corpse paint on the guy when he's playing guitar.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Sinbad?
Treasure Planet.
Oh yeah.
Treasure Planet.
Yeah,
I think that's the one I like.
Yeah.
Because it was, again, it's taking something that's familiar, but you're making it weird.
Right.
But then you have Titan AD. You remember that shit?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I wish I did not, but yes, I did.
How do you suck so bad? But that's a great risk you take, you know? Imagine a couple, here's the thing with Legion, with Priest, couple missteps, you're so fucking far off the mark, there's no coming back.
Yes. You can easily make one bad choice and you're done.
Dunzo. All right.
And then there's some people that just make bad choice after bad choice and they get more and more. Yeah. I don't get it.
That's like us.
Yeah.
Peter Schink and Scott Stewart wrote it. Schink also did work on the show Dominion, not just because of his characters, but also in development. Music by John Frizel, who did music for Dante's Peak, Cradle to the Grave, and Beavis and Butthead Do America. And you know why I'm wearing my monochromatic Beavis and Butthead shirt.
Nice.
I'm stripping down because it's about to get into snicknames, which is what we call nicknames now because Jake stuttered one time and he decided to make a mockery of himself as penance. We're going to have our Nick Cannon logo coming up if you listen on YouTube or watch on YouTube, however you want to do it. And you have one nickname, I understand it.
No, I don't.
I thought you had one for Tyrese Gibson. That's the only one I didn't have. So I think we made a complete set between us.
No, I think mine was more for Lewis Black.
Lewis Black?
Yeah.
Lucas Black.
Oh, Lucas
Black, I was imagining an angry comedian. I'm like, I wish he was in that movie. Imagine, that would be a great scene where Gladys's husband is outside and it's Lewis Black and he's like, stop biting people on the fucking neck.
Yeah. No, for Lewis Black, I was just like the guy who almost destroyed the Tokyo Drift or Fast and the Furious genre because of his work in Tokyo Drift. I hate this guy.
Ugh. So, going to Lucas Black, he played Jeep Hansen. I want to call him Grand Cherokee.
Yeah.
That's right, Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Okay, that works.
Paul Bettany. This is a hard one for me because I obviously am gonna go towards the Marvel Comics reference. I have over 2,000 comic books. I have Captain America's shield tattooed on my forearm. Like, that obsession runs deep. Sorry, I'm a man child. So of course I want to do something along those lines. Don't really want to do the Vision. Jarvis is kind of good. It's simple.
Yeah, I think Jarvis would be the best because it's like his voice is definitely
Yeah. You
there.
can't unhear it.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you imagine being cast and then Jon Favreau is like, no, 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 no. Just talk. And he's like, but I am an actor. And he's like, just shut the fuck up and talk. I listened to an interview that he did at Comic Con 2009. Super charming, nice dude. It's like in a food court, and he's talking about making this movie and making Priest and how excited he is. And what I really liked, he spoke well of our good friend, who I'm a huge fan of, and we've talked about, Keanu Reeves. He refers to Keanu Reeves
Yes.
as, quote, like a god, because Jennifer Connelly, who's Paul Bettany's wife, was in the Day the Earth Stood Still remake with Keanu Reeves.
the
So when they were
remake.
doing press together, they went out and he referred to him as like a god.
Huh, that's a really interesting.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah. I watched an interview with him too, and it was like about his kids asking him to dress up for Halloween, and he's like, "No, you know how much makeup I have to put on in
Yeah.
movies?" And I was like, "Dude, I like this guy."
He's super cool. Like, every time I see an interview with him, like, people had kind of posited him questions like, why would you do something like this? He's like, because I wanted to.
Right.
And then I do a stupid art house film, and then I do this crazy action film because that's just the way I feel. And I'm like, why the fuck not?
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally like that. Even though I'm also one of the people that I'm like, why hasn't the guy made a movie in a long time?
Yeah. Well, that's
But
one.
that's just because I enjoy them and I hope that they would make more, content.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally would be the same where I'd be like, no, I'm gonna do Broadway for some reason or something.
Well, look at this show. I mean, I'm clearly horror is my thing. I go back. There, it's there. It's in my history. I have vivid memories of drawing two mutants ripping apart, not mutants like I'm an X-Man, but like mutants like piles of flesh with like spikes coming out of it, ripping a man apart in his entrails, saying, I love you, Dad, and giving that to my father. Like, I'm a weird guy. But still, we ranted for 10 minutes on this show about comic books because diversity is fun. And I can only imagine being in that position and having people offering you jobs and be like, well, fuck, I'll pick this one and that one and this one. And then people are like, whoa, 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 you can only pick this. And he's like, no, no, no. I literally, everybody offered me this work.
Right.
Who
Yeah.
can blame him?
That's really cool.
Uh-huh.
Did your dad have a weird talk with you after that?
Oh, he was not happy about it.
I could just imagine his face being like, oh, this is good, but
Oh, dude.
What the hell?
So 4th grade, I wrote a story about this is a bad story. I wrote a horror story where a bunch of children, I swear to God, this is probably not good to talk about.
I hope we could find this story, by the way. And we'll release it as Patreon.
No, I think it was consciously destroyed by the principal at my elementary school. I'm not kidding. I think it was literally destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
It was a bunch of children. They had a mean teacher. They cut the teacher's head off and put it in the cabinet, and they spent the remainder of the school year sitting in their desks staring straight forward like automatons, and nobody knew until the end of the school year that the teacher was dead. And so we had to have a conference, and the teacher was there, and they were like, this teacher's never abused you, right? And I was like, nah, dog, it's called fiction. Ain't you heard? And my dad was like, oh, he watches these things and he reads things. They scare me half the time. And I remember being like, fuck.
You know where you went wrong. You're just like, yes, this teacher touched me.
I should have.
Then you're safe.
Yeah. Pay that college tuition. I wouldn't be fucking sending Navient half my goddamn earnings now. That would have been great. That was awful.
Yeah.
I remember that and being like, my dad looking at me like he'd failed and being like, what? I'm just weird. Just leave me alone. And then I want to, like, there's also the defensiveness where you're like, you caused this. You let me watch RoboCop way too young.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we move on. Tyrese Gibson, I have nothing for it. He was in Flight of the Phoenix with Dennis Quaid, so I was thinking of calling him the guy who was in Fast and the Furious and Flight of I don't know. Do you got anything for this douchebag?
Oh,
I don't want to say douchebag. He is relatively charming in the film.
Yeah, no, I actually like him as a character, but he does play kind of the same character too.
Generic, right?
Yeah. No.
We'll call him concealed carry because he has a gun, and then the other guy's like disappointed in him for having a gun.
Oh, but it's definitely not a concealed
For
carry
sure.
license.
We have Adrianne Palicki as Charlie. Check this out. You know how the Virgin Mary was like this virgin who got the Holy Ghost to come inside her, and then she had the baby? What is instead of the Virgin Mary, because this lady a hoe, we call her the Urchin Mary.
Urchin Mary?
Yeah, like she's a street urchin.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Aladdin.
All right.
All right. We move on to Charles S. Dutton as Percy Walker. This guy plays the same character in so many things, but I like him. I fall for it every time.
Wait, which guy?
He's the cook with one hand who's like,
Oh,
Jesus,
yeah.
Jesus, Jesus.
Yeah.
What do we call him? He's the backbone of the film, and we see his backbone.
That is true.
Backbone. Moving on, John Tenney is Howard Anderson, who's the dad of the troubled girl.
Yeah. I don't know. He's just kind of a douchebag.
I kind of wanted to tie this together. I wanted to call him daddy and her daddy issues.
That works too.
Sorry. It's weird to call another man daddy, but bear with me. We move on to Willa Holland, who is daddy issues.
Yes.
My second choice for Willa Holland was Willa, you get a better name. God damn it. Who thought that was a good idea? Kate Walsh plays Sandra Anderson, the mom. Joan Crawford. She's mommy dearest. She goes fucking crazy at the end.
She does.
Yeah. Dennis Quaid is Bob Hansen, the diner's atheist owner. I have one. Alimony, because he's very bitter towards his ex-wife.
Yeah, that works. That whole like talk is just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, cool. You could just have a lighter for reasons.
Yes.
Like, whatever. There's Gladys Miller, who plays the old lady, Cameron Harlow, who's the minivan boy, and Doug Jones, who's the ice cream man.
Doug Jones has such a small part, but he's awesome.
He deserves such a bigger part.
Yeah.
Like that character, the design is so creepy. I remember seeing the trailer and being like, that's cool.
Right.
Like he and Gladys are the two things from that trailer that make it seem super spooky.
Yeah. His 3-minute role is better than the entire Ice Cream Man episode or movie we did.
Yeah. Or the episode we did about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. No contest there. Let's move on. Chad, would you like to try and do a recap? Do you want to do our competitive recapitation like we did that one time?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so you tell me the shortest version of this movie that you can.
Okay. Let's see. Second coming of Christ, and God tells the angels to go kill it. And that's it.
Okay, I have another one. Second Coming Interrupted.
Yep. That works too.
Really, I mean, the Second Coming of Christ is there, but it's the whole
more of like attempted interrupted.
Yeah. That's one
or
of
interruption.
I really am torn by the ending. I like and hate it at the same time because it kind of gets phoned in, but it's also good. So we'll get into it because now it's time for the sleigh by play. A little graphic. You can do a graphic here. You can do a graphic here.
No, we're done.
Graphic.
Done
here.
with graphics. We need standard graphics, so I don't have to do anything.
Everybody's obsessed with bobbleheads. I wish that there were more hula girls.
Yeah.
If you're out there and you have a bullshit Etsy shop, how about you send us a custom hula girl with Jason Voorhees' head on her? I think that'd be the best. I'll put it right here.
Yeah.
Here.
I'll take a Freddy one. That'd be cool.
That'd be dope. I think that fits him a lot better.
Yeah.
Though. I could see
because you would see it in a movie.
Yeah, like you got a guy like Johnny Depp laying in bed and he's like, oh yeah, that lady, I want to see her coconuts. And he's like, you want to see these coconuts? And he's like, no.
Yes.
Yep. All right, moving on. Movie starts off with Psalms 34:11. Okay. Then there's the woman's voiceover regarding God being just, and then, well, that's what the mom said. Then the father leaves, and then she stops talking about God being loving and just, and then she begins talking about this dark prophecy. And when the daughter asks, why did this change? Quote, I guess he just got tired of all the bullshit.
Yes.
It's cute.
Yeah.
I mean,
it definitely sets a tone for everything that's coming. And, the whole tone of the movie is just, God pretty much lost faith in man. And that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that if you made this movie a little bit earlier in the 90s, obviously this was 2000s, but in like specifically the 90s where a little bit more of that sardonic kind of attitude was around, I guess we'd call it Nirvana-itis, and did practical effects, that could
Yeah.
really work because this cynicism, I think, is good. I think that the storytelling of her repeating it at the end is a little bit silly, but also works. Like, I I don't know how to phrase it. It's redundant, but it's effectively redundant. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is, but
It almost
I
feels like it's
hated
patting
it.
itself
I
on
was
the
like,
back.
"I'm done."
Yeah,
I
where
didn't need
she's
to
like,
hear it all again, it's over. Yeah.
"Look how clever I am. I made a quip about the god being over it."
Right.
But it's fair. So we start off with a moon in the puddle, and then, uh, sorry, before I called him Jarvis, in my notes, I called him Mr. Sarah because my favorite, like, non-horror film is Labyrinth, and
Oh, dude.
his wife is Sarah
Yeah.
in that, so
I love Labyrinth.
up top. That's why Brian's not on this episode. He
I'm
talks
waiting
shit.
for my kids to be just the right age to show them the movie.
Dude, that scene with the fireys is the only part of that movie I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not it just it feels weird and it's just clunky, and if you cut that out, I mean, it's really a manageable movie in terms of time too.
Yeah. My girls are pretty smart. I think they wouldn't like the, junk lady either.
Oh, I like the junk lady though.
Yeah, but it's a little bit on the darker side.
Oh, for sure, when
So,
she yeah.
they wouldn't be happy with that part.
I love when she's just piling the stuff on her and she's like, "No, no, 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 you're fine." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's what pharmaceuticals companies do to you."
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so, Jarvis lands and he's bleeding in the rain. There's a barking dog, and then he in the shadow you see him sprout the wings, and then he cuts off the wings and the shackle falls off. I felt that was rushed, but I get that they did it for budgetary reasons.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It was rushed, and it kinda gives you, like, a glimpse, like, he's not free. He's a angel that's, like, being controlled by the caller.
Which is cool because they don't
Right.
say overtly, "Oh, it's a good thing I cut my wings off, and that means I'm free."
Right.
It's
But they
very
do, like, this big halo that goes and, like, sucks into the collar, and then it kind of explodes off.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, definitely. They didn't have to spoon feed us, which was nice.
So good.
Yeah.
I think that if you add a little bit of which X-Men movie was it where Angel's cutting his wings off in that gnarly scene as a kid?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that's,
2?
3.
3.
3.
Yeah, 3, you're right.
That's 3.
Uh, because that's where they start doing the whole medicine to cure, and then they get
Right.
Magneto, but then Magneto's not gotten.
Ooh, at the end.
I love that so much. That's the cliffhanger I want. But anyway, something where you see the extent of his suffering, I think would help because as it stands, he's just like, "Oh yeah, like God told me to love people, so I decided to love people, and so I'm
Right.
helping you out." Not I gave up like Dogma even, where they're like, "I gave up eternity for this mission."
Yes.
That's cool.
Right. Yeah, he's a little bit too much of, like, ultimate badass in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no like, he claims, like, he loves humanity, but as soon as he gets to the ground, he's just like, "I'm so awesome, and all you guys just have to shut up and listen," and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh, okay."
Where he's like, "All right, well, I love you all, but I don't care if you guys die because I'm
Right,
just here for
he's
this
just,
one
like,
chick."
killing people anyway. But yeah.
And I love that he has, like, no moral dilemma, like, the idea that an angel could dispossess someone doesn't occur to him, so he's like, "I'm just gonna kill them all."
Right.
No exorcism or anything like that, just like, "Whatever."
No. Just blow him away.
So then he's in a warehouse, then he attacks a dude through a glass ceiling, which is badass.
Yes. Again, that was kinda rushed because they also don't show much of that. It's just like he drops through where the guy is, and then the guy's, like, unconscious.
Yeah. Who is that
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah.
Like, for all you know, he's a guy with a 9 to 5 job and a
Right.
mortgage and a family, and
But
he's just sitting there.
first of all, I will have to say this entire beginning is Terminator 1.
Yes. Well, yes,
Yes.
or 2, to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, well, they both kinda start out the same way. But
Yeah.
yeah. Pretty much like Time Warp
Well,
shows up
I'm
and he's
looking
like,
at it.
"Oh, I'm naked, I gotta get clothes and fit in," and it's, like, all the exact same. But instead of, like, the time, it's just wings flying from heaven.
Yeah, his fish out of water and superpower makes me lean towards T2, but I see what you mean.
Right.
His physique is much more like was it Michael Biehn? Is that the name of the guy who played
Yeah,
Hicks? Yeah.
yeah. But
Eh,
in part 1, it's the same, like, goal that he has too, is like, "Oh, I have to go find the mother of someone who's gonna be the savior." It's literally
oh yeah.
the first yeah.
Da 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 da.
Yes.
Cool. Um, he stitches his wings, he gets armaments, there's an evil cop.
But that part's weird too, like, I mean, I do like the movie because they do go quickly through it, but he randomly opens up a door and it's just a giant room filled with tons of guns,
Yeah.
like, beyond the amount I've ever seen, and I've seen some guns.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's weird. That scene, it very much like I'm sitting there thinking of it. I'm like, did they do that because of the Matrix? Was the surplus kind of created that way? Because it has that kind of
It
sterile
totally
look
does,
of it.
yeah, like, just the big hallway full of, like, massive amounts of guns
Yeah.
with, like, nothing else in the room.
So he
Yeah.
gets his guns. Then this is the hackiest part of the movie.
Yes.
There's the explosion in the shape of a cruciform, and that's how he gets out. And the cops are like, "Whoa, buddy! Like, let's sit and talk about this." And he's like, "I ain't got time for your shit." That's what he sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
British guy making an American kind of accent.
Yeah. And so then they radio that there's an officer down and it has started, and then the evil cop gets possessed. So,
Yeah, and
well,
this is the first time you see, like, a possession, and it's kind of like The Matrix too, where they can just possess anybody.
wobbling head,
They,
yeah.
like, shake their face really fast, and, yeah, then it's like then they have sharp teeth and weird eyes, and that's it.
Yeah, I wish there was something that was angelic, even if it was
Right.
evilly angelic. Like, how there's, like, mermaids and then there's, like, the evil swamp mermaids?
Yes.
I kinda wish they did something like that to be like, "Okay, you can still have the sharp teeth, but maybe radiance coming out of their head like a halo."
Right, something because, yeah, you definitely just read, like, demon
Yeah.
versus, like, no angelic anything.
Which I love the idea that they're being possessed by angels. I think that's one of the more
Right,
radical concepts, but then it's kind of wasted by looking the exact same.
right, and he's also an angel, but has no features like that, so
And also, why did he give up his angelhood if he could possess someone as an angel and use their body without giving it up? I guess to get rid of the shackle, but
yeah, to get rid of the shackle, and I think they're all, like, lesser 'cause, he pretty much just demolishes all of them, so he must be, I don't know,
a G.
a G.
Yep. So then it cuts to Jeep Grand Cherokee waking up in a trailer, and then there's the pregnant chick from John Wick and Orville, who is
Yes.
Urchin Mary. Heavy expository dialogue, but
I think she was
moves
on
fast.
SHIELD too.
Agents of Shield.
Agents of SHIELD.
I think that sounds correct.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
whatever.
tried really hard to watch that to get to the Robbie Reyes stuff with Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I just skipped to the Ghost Rider stuff and then switched. Oh, they're also doing a Damien Helmstrom also for Hulu, which I think could be
Oh,
cool
alright.
if done well. If they take lessons from the way that the Constantine show failed for CW, they could do a really good show with that.
Yes.
The Son of Satan, for those of you who don't know. So, they're talking about comic books again. I'm talking about Satan in comic books, if you don't mind. Have some respect for me, your humble host. But yeah, heavy expository
Humble,
dialogue.
really?
I'm probably the humblest of the hosts. The fact that humblest exists as a word, I think is just the funniest thing about the English language.
Yeah.
So she lays it on pretty thick that it's not his baby. Um,
He's never had sex with her.
I don't think that he's ever had sex.
Yeah, no, his
Not with bangs
character
like
is
that.
the weirdest character in, like, any movie. He's, like, this weird guy that's in love with this girl, and he does anything for her, even though she's carrying a baby from another man. She doesn't even seem like she really cares about him other than she's just kinda using him.
Yeah, as for a place to live and a place to
Right,
work. Yeah.
right, and there's even a scene where, like, the dad comes out and he's like, "You're an idiot, what are you doing?"
And he, he almost plays for laughs. He's so fawning over her and doting and kind of
Right.
aimless. It's just
His
a
character's just so dull, you think he's, like, simple in the head. He's
yeah,
just
no,
weird.
and he has the haircut of Simple Jack from Tropic
Yes.
Thunder.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So, yeah, every time I see him, that I don't know. I have issues with this guy.
yeah, and I can I try to rectify it because at the end when he ends up getting the tattoos and he becomes the savior and the protector, blah blah blah. That I understand that. I like that as an idea, and I know that it's supposed to be this transformative experience where you now have a man, but he's not good enough in the rest of it for me to care.
Right, and there's no real change or anything from what he was in the beginning.
Except he has tattoos.
Right. So, no.
Yeah.
There
No.
definitely need to be a bigger, like, character arc or something for that.
Yeah, she says that she has to stop carrying the weight of the world, and it's a suspension joke, is what I noticed. It's a very weird scene. It cuts to the diner, and it's Randy Quaid. Do we give Randy Quaid? Oh, alimony.
Yeah,
He's hitting the
alimony.
TV,
Yeah.
and then a lot of things are shown very quickly. He's hitting the TV to try and get the TV to work. The cook has a hook. There's a girl with a short skirt, which is daddy issues.
Yes.
And then there's a couple judging her, and it turns out that they're her parents.
Yep.
I mean, it's a montage. It's funny to me. They get all of that information out so simply, but then it comes immediately after a scene where she's like, "This is not your baby. Why are you helping me?"
Yes. Yeah, it's very strange.
How would you do it, Chad?
Oh god. I don't know.
Would
I'd
you do
actually
like what is Scott Pilgrim or like Zombieland where like freeze frames on the person and there's like
the words, yeah.
yeah.
No, I'd probably not dive into so many of the characters with so much characteristics. Maybe just have a few people that were just quiet
Yeah.
in the film. And, you know, if they're gonna die off later, whatever. They could have like maybe some part of a little bit of a character arc where you could see like because the Tyrese Gibson guy, they pretty much just paid him off as like a stereotypical like thug who carries a gun.
Who's trying to do right.
Yeah, who's trying to do right. So I don't know. I'd probably take a lot of like the conversation that they've had in that whole scene out.
Yeah, well, I think that what it does effectively is it shows, it doesn't tell.
Right.
And I think that you could do that with Charlie or Urchin Mary and Jeep Grand Cherokee really easily, but they just don't.
Yes, I agree.
And also to reinforce the same exact conversation that Urchin Mary and Jeep Grand Cherokee have by talking to Alimony, the guy's dad. For those of you who haven't kept track, Jeep Grand Cherokee's dad is Alimony. He's even like, "Hey, it's not your kid. Why are you doing this?" Blah, blah, blah. One or the other.
That could have been like a one-liner, and you would have been like, "Okay, fine."
But that I think goes to the point of at that point it's filler.
Yes.
I mean, it's just trying to get there because it's cheaper than filming an action sequence, and it's less horrific than
Yeah.
building suspense with that Gladys scene or whatever.
But the movie was long enough that they could have just cut it.
Yeah, I feel like it was, but I mean, what was it? 100 minutes exactly, so it's an hour 40. I don't know. It's not bad. And also, like, people are dumb. I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of a generic, homogenized story to a certain extent, so you're wanting to get the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree.
So we move on. Oh god. There's jokes about oh god. So the daughter, daddy issues. They're talking about her short skirt, and she talks about how she wants to be double teamed by truckers.
Yes.
And I'm like, don't slut shame yourself. Like, it was so weird to
It's
be
'cause
antagonistic.
it's because the parents were like making fun of like, or not making fun, criticizing the way she was dressed. At least the wife was, and the dad was just like, whatever.
Yeah, but
he's like,
also
let me
the
just
dad.
ask her.
That's the dad who gave her the daddy issues, so we know
Right.
why.
Exactly.
But it's like you can already kind of tell there's a good cop, bad cop scenario. He's permissive and she's restrictive, and you automatically establish she's like a troubled teen. So when she has the heart to heart with I think Tyrese later on, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I was the bad influence," that kind of works. I just kind of wish they did that with the main characters.
Yes, I agree.
And also, I wish that Paul Bettany, Jarvis, had some kind of deeper moment like that.
Right.
Not to naysay, like again, I like this movie. These are just things I'm saying.
These are just small
10 years
tweaks
later
that could make it a little bit better.
Exactly. So if you want to recut this movie for us, go ahead, send it our way. We'll review it. We'll watch it. Tyrese, Fast and Furious. You know what he's doing?
Driving
and texting,
jeopardizing
the health of everybody on that lone road.
Yep.
So he pulls over because the map says the next stop is 50 miles, and he sees Urchin Mary sitting there smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
While pregnant.
pregnant.
And he's like, "Hey, it's not good for the baby." But then they smoke together anyway.
Right. He bums a cigarette off of her.
Yeah. And then he's like, "I'll give you 2 cigarettes when I buy one," because she's like, "I don't want to give you a cigarette."
Right.
And I was like, so the Urchin Mary is racist. My only conclusion.
Yeah, I guess so.
So then, while they're standing together, Jeep Grand Cherokee's walking by with this old decrepit crib that he found.
Right.
And he's like, "Is everything okay here?"
Because he's racist.
Dude, that's what I'm
I
saying.
see a black guy talking to a pregnant woman.
Yeah, exactly. He's
you
like,
must be in trouble.
"I'm going to intervene with my white pride muscles. I mean, my muscles."
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, it's a weird scene, and they don't do anything redemptive. It's not like he's like, "I will save you, black man." So it's just kind of weird that I'm glad I'm not the only one who it came across as like overtly kind of racist.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think they were trying to just paint it as he's, like, super overprotective of her, but again, yeah, it's yeah.
They could have reinforced that with other characters though.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So,
Not the one guy that actually does have, like, a gun hiding and yeah.
right? That's a whole issue in its own right. But like when she's inside, he doesn't, get defensive of her with anybody else. And if he would have, the fact that he wouldn't with Gladys, the possessed lady, I think would have been great.
Yeah?
Let's say, for instance, Daddy from Daddy Issues is like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Toots?" And he's like, "Hey, back off, buddy," or
Yes.
something like that. But then this old lady comes in and he's like, "Well, she's harmless." That reinforces an expectation. And then bam, when she's talking about the baby burning, you're like, "Fuck."
Yeah, I can totally see that. That'd be a lot better.
Would you be like, "Fuck,
Yes.
fuck"? All right. So they enter the diner.
Speaking of filler, just kidding.
Yeah, fuck. So Alimony criticizes her for smoking, and she says that he's one to talk. And then he gives the expository information that he carries his lighter from his ex-wife to remind him of how much he hates her.
Yes, and it says hope on the lighter.
Ugh. Ugh. Just have a lighter, asshole.
Right.
But I mean, I get
It's
it's cutesy. It gives a point and purpose to it, but I don't need an explanation as to why some fuck ass has a lighter when they sell cigarettes. People are so dependent on cigarettes that literally the pregnant lady's smoking. How about this? The pregnant lady throws him her lighter. Boom.
right. Um, yeah, and it's just for, like, a very small, like, plot point and at the end.
Yeah. It's small, but it's also the climax of the movie.
Right.
Well,
No, no,
actually,
no,
it's
no.
not.
It's
Yeah, it's that fight on
it's
the mount.
pre-climax.
Ah,
It's heavy petting.
Jesus. So, just a little bit of pre-cum spittle comes out, but it's not all the way. So, yeah. Where if you stopped right there, you'd still have, like, a crusty in your
Yeah.
underwear.
Yeah.
Sucks
Your
so
pee would
bad.
fly everywhere if you let it
Glad I'm
dry
not
and
16 anymore. So, then it cuts to Jeep Grand Cherokee working on the crib, and this is where you get the scene with Alimony being like, "Nah, dog, wrap that dick up. Don't get involved. You're gonna pay alimony like me." And he's like, "Dad, you were a disappointment, and I hate you." And he's like, "But I love you." And like, "I love you too."
But then he goes into a little bit more of, like, how pissed he is with his wife, right? Because
Yep.
he's like, "Well, we moved here because they were gonna open up a new road or something, and they never did. Now we're stuck out here." And it's like, "Move."
Yeah.
You're literally in the middle of the desert.
It also, like, you can do other things. Like, it's the desperation and the lack of problem solving makes it very conspicuous that
Right.
he suddenly is a problem solver when he's like, "I'll blow everything up." It's like, why didn't you blow up the diner and get the insurance money 7 years ago? Save us all the trouble.
Yes.
But then Jeep Grand Cherokee tells him, to get to the point where he's talking about being compelled to buy the diner and all that. He says that he's been having dreams about Urchin Mary, and he's like, "Look, I feel compelled to help her." And he's like, "Hey, I felt compelled to buy this bullshit, and it didn't end up doing us any favors." So the point is, you get an insurance policy on the diner, you blow it up, a life insurance policy on the baby, you blow it up. Done deal.
Yeah.
It's a big fucking deal. Moving on. There's static on the TV. There's a sandstorm that's coming in.
I just don't understand the whole dream thing because if God wants the baby dead, somebody's still sending the dreams to him. And somebody is compelling him to take care of her. Plus, somebody compelled him to buy that diner so that they could be there in the future.
This is where Marvel Comics would be rad because you have different senses of divinity. Like you have like the concept of
Right.
existence or something like that. And I think that the concept of time would supersede the concept of God, even though arguably God created time because God would be restricted by time if you look at God in a linear path. Because people always look at his or her actions or whatever as they happen moment to moment. But I feel like if God was real, it would be like Dr. Manhattan, where everything has happened. If you have no linear perception of time and no consciousness as a human does, everything is already accounted for. You're living all things at once and nothing at once.
Yeah.
That was way too esoteric for this episode, man. What the fuck? It's a movie about violent angels. I'm embarrassing myself trying to sound smart. I referred to myself jokingly. I was like, I guess I'm a film reviewer now. And somebody was like, yeah, for sure. I'm like, oh God, you're not supposed to reinforce my self-deprecating humor. You're supposed to lift me up.
No.
So you got alimony hitting the goddamn TV again, and then the emergency broadcast comes on. Effective? No.
Yeah. I mean, it's just saying pretty much the rest of the world's in trouble. We're coming to the beginning of the climb to the climax.
This is the pre-heavy petting?
Yes.
This is light petting.
This is light petting.
All right. I'm glad I'm speaking your language. So then Tyrese is using the phone because he wants to talk, and he's talks to his baby mama, which the fact that he has the gun, the fact that he's going through a custody battle, it's troublesome.
Even that was racist. They like made him pay to use the phone in the back because the other payphone was broke.
Yeah. After refusing him a cigarette.
Right.
It's like,
come on.
So, but he's redemptive because he's trying to do the right thing. He clearly has some kind of an anger issue when he's like, come on. It's weird. Jeep. Oh, this is a fun part. Jeep Grand Cherokee looks under the hood of Daddy Issues and Daddy's and Mommy Dearest's car, and it's a BMW where everything's like encased in plastic, and he's just like, ugh.
Yeah, I think that was actually probably one of the funnier parts.
I thought it was very effective, and it shows like, I'm podunk. I don't know what this means.
Because they're literally in the desert, and he's trying to fix like $100,000 car or something.
But they've already been waiting while he fixed that fucking crib. So now he's
right,
like,
which is totally strange. And it's not even like a crib that he's had. He's like, oh, I found it in the junkyard. So yeah, it's very strange.
There's no sentimentality to it.
And that's why I'm saying,
here,
like,
so you don't need to do it right now.
I don't even know.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm gonna go fix this half destroyed thing that I found in the junkyard versus my actual job that I'm getting paid to do. So yeah, it was
presumably
weird.
Yeah. So then here we come. Gladys enters the diner with her walker.
Yeah.
She orders,
and you know straight from the beginning when she walks in though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But also they blew this in the trailer. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. But still, like the way they filmed it and everything, like, yeah, you definitely knew like, oh, this old lady is not an old lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The degree of menace that they use, it's very quickly established, and I love this is the part of the movie that I think is artfully done in terms of it is effective in horror. It sets up it's a great ramping up of the intensity of the film. I just wish there were more parts kind of like it.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and I think that a little bit of reshooting as far as like the light conditions and whatnot would have been better. But yeah, overall the scene's awesome. You want to take us through it, or do you want me to do it?
Sure, I'll do it.
Good.
So yeah, the old lady Gladys, is that what her name is? Yeah, walks in with her little four-legged walker thing, all slow, and they kind of overly make her sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Her voice is so like high, and she's all nice and cheery.
Talking to everybody.
Yeah.
Which old people do.
Oh yeah.
I love
so
that.
annoying.
And Mommy Dearest falls completely for it. She's like, oh, well, we're this and then. And I thought that was great.
Right. And I was surprised that she's being nice anyway, because that lady's like
a terror the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you have no redeeming qualities at all. But anyway,
maybe we should call the daughter Mommy Issues now that I think about it.
Yeah, I think so. I think she's rebelling against her mom more than anything. And Dad's just like, whatever.
So we're gonna change Daddy Issues to wire hangers if you know your Joan Crawford history. Sorry. Keep going.
So anyway, oh God, we do this every time.
Yeah. So she
what's the girl's
which one? Urchin Mary?
Urchin Mary, there you go. Yeah. Shows her to a table because she's the waitress.
Oh, also to your point, so Mommy Dearest does talk to her, but it's immediately self-serving because she's like, oh, the lines are down. Do you know anything about that? So she's not even being nice. She's trying to get something.
Right. Because she's like a newcomer and yeah.
There you go.
Okay. That works. That works out a little better.
Hey.
There you go. You saved it.
I try.
Anyway, so she sits down and she starts talking to
Virgin
Mary, asking about the baby. She says that she wants a rare steak, and they're like, oh, okay. So she goes back, gets her food. And then she starts talking to Mommy and wait. Yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
I was establishing the whole scene. The delineation of it is correct. She orders the rare steak. She goes, when she brings the food back, that's when she asks about the not being married. Because that's when the flies are flying on it. So
right.
Immediately you know this isn't what it appears. Which did you like the flies on it or did you not? Because I very much did. I think that the Lord of the Flies thing is very underutilized in terms of satanic imagery.
Yeah, no, it totally worked. It definitely felt, like, I think we talked about this at dinner too, where kinda Sam
Yes,
Raimi-esque. This whole
absolutely.
scene is exactly like Sam Raimi.
Very Evil Dead.
Yeah.
If
Um,
you could do me a favor when you're editing the episode that you're on, if you could show the girl with the basement when she's like, "Nah, nah, nah," that's perfect. So go ahead, keep going.
yeah. So anyway, she asked about, where the father is. She said, "Oh, he's not in the picture." I'm using a lot of, like, he, she, whatever.
Whatever.
Um, so the, urchin
But your
says, like, "Oh,
baby's
yeah,
gonna
I'll
burn.
be" yeah. She's like, "Oh, I don't need him, I'll be fine." And then, uh, Gladys is like, "Well, your baby's gonna burn."
And she's like,
And she
"What
said,
the fuck did
"What?"
you say to me?" And she's like, "I said your fucking baby's gonna burn."
Yeah,
And she giggles, and then she's like, "All the babies are gonna burn."
right.
She drops the C-bomb.
Yeah, and
Dude!
it's, like, the turning point for this, like, sweet old lady that you're like, "Oh my god, she's definitely evil."
But, like, think about this. If a real life old lady was saying shit like that, you can't punch her in the head, and you're super far away from
Why
the
not?
cops. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I love that situation because I love the moral, like, conundrum. Like, when we did The Omen, like, perception-wise, when the people at that wedding are judging, um, Gregory Peck and his wife because Damien is throwing a temper tantrum in the car, like, it's very easy as and you know this as a dad, if you wanted to, alpha male style, you could just smack your kid or assert physical dominance, no question. But it's the moral impetus, it's the emotional impetus that stops you from doing that. And I love scenes like this where you ostensibly do have the physical power to do something, but propriety says there's no way you would strike or do anything of retribution to this innocent looking old lady.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why, like, so many old people get away with being so racist.
All the time.
'Cause, yeah, definitely. It's definitely, you can't just slap her.
Yeah.
Although this lady could take it, so.
Yeah, dude. So this is where daddy of daddy issues tries to confront, and so she bites him on the neck, and then there's the eerie string sound effect. Per- Percy throws the skillet at her, which is awesome.
Right, which definitely feels a little bit like the whole comedic, like, Sam Raimi thing as well.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, just, like, hits her in the head and it leaves, like, a huge cut, but then she gets back up. Um, and this
That's
is
when she
this
climbs
is
up
where
the
she
wall.
jumps, yeah, like, off the wall and starts climbing on the roof,
Yeah.
and everyone's just freaking out.
Then she hits alimony, and there's this terrible sound effect that reminds me of the end of Event Horizon. That hurt my soul.
Yes. And even when she hit him, like, she does, like, definitely it's an old lady. She just kinda, like,
Yeah.
straight arms, like, slaps him.
But then you could tell like the wire is pulling him and everything. And
Right,
then so
exactly.
what does Tyrese do?
Uh,
Or concealed carry, I guess.
well, yeah. Well, I guess this is the only character development part that we missed is, uh, Jeep was supposed to, picks up a shotgun off the floor and is supposed to shoot her, and he doesn't. And, yeah, so Tyrese then blows her away from the back with
Yep.
his concealed carry gun.
And that's the end to a great character.
Yeah,
Which is, it's almost a shame she doesn't do any other jump scares or anything later on. There's a lot of
right.
potential there. But it's also good they're not beating a dead horse.
Yeah, true.
It worked and
I
it
mean,
moved
because
on.
they're introducing so many other, like, threats that, this one just needed to end, I think, quick.
Yeah.
But this is also where they zoom in and, like, look that she has, super sharp teeth, and, that's kind of like the telltale for the possession of the angels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also weird because Paul Bettany doesn't have sharp teeth.
Exactly,
And
yeah, that's what we said. It's just weird.
so like going back, the one identifiable characteristic isn't even identifiable to the angel. So give me a halo, give me something. Let's move on.
Right. Even
So
her being a Halo being an angel, though, is kinda strange with her, just being saying, like, the C word and stuff. I was like, "Can you make her"
I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the Lord of the Flies thing
they just
because
make her so much of, like, pure evil demonish versus, like, we could be angels going to kill you, and I understand it wouldn't be as much horror, but
she's following the strict letter of the biblical law, though. You're an adulteress. You're going to hell. So, I mean, you could take it that way, but then the fact that she has, eating the raw flesh and, in I think that's why Seventh-day Adventists are all vegetarian, is because you're not supposed to consume the blood, and so there are biblical things that completely counteract that, but I think that the methodology of her being that evil is because she's anchoring everything on, "Well, you're not being a good Christian."
Okay.
It's a tenuous reach, I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
I was gonna say that
It's
goes against everything else though that the Bible talks
Oh,
about.
yeah.
So
So
okay.
so this is where concealed carry gives his lovely scarf to the father who's bleeding to death on the floor, and the girl's shuddering, blood's dripping down from the ceiling, and they take the husband to the SUV because 'cause they're like, "We're getting the fuck out of Dodge."
Right.
And then what happens, Chadley?
They drive into a huge uh cloud of insects.
Swarm.
Yes.
I love when it's coming through the vents like that.
Yeah, it's totally cool. I like
A
it.
basic effect, but good effect.
Right. Even the driving up to it, they're like, "What is it? Is it cloud?" And clouds don't buzz, blah blah blah. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like the way that they did it, definitely is very effective.
Looks better than the Mummy when the Mummy does, like, the face in the sandstorm.
Yes,
But
for sure.
like, I'd be totally down with, like, a face in the sandstorm or something. Also, there was, or the Swarm rather. There's a Marvel Comics character, just because I decided to talk about comics once, I'm gonna do it all the time, called Swarm, which, if I'm not mistaken, is one radioactive bee who brings a bunch of other bees together to create a humanoid shape and be an evil villain. Pretty
Okay.
dope, right?
Yeah.
He wears a bonnet.
So you just have to find the one bee.
Yep. So then they cut to Jeep and he's puking because he couldn't pull the trigger. He froze. His dad says, "Not everyone can play the hero." I love that because it's like, bro, you gave up on your hopes, your dreams. You have a pathetic life. You suck. And now you want your kid to suck too. I really think that's a great scene.
Yeah, because his dad the whole time he's like, "Stop being a loser, following this girl around. Oh, you can't even shoot someone to save someone else." He's just like, "Yeah, you're a loser."
Yeah. And this is meanwhile after he got punched across the floor and, you know,
Right.
he's a loser too.
And
Like,
that's because because Alimony was trying to take her out with a shotgun. When she's on the roof, he's like totally letting loose.
yep.
Yeah.
So then they go to Gladys's body and it's warm even though she's dead. So they take it outside and then there's no flies outside anymore, even though they had just had to fly back because or drive back because of it. Again, this is almost goes back to the Void episode where they burn the body on the gurney and send it out. I like that they take it away because it kind of rules out, at least at this part, that Gladys would be coming back and doing a jump scare.
Yes.
Gets too tiresome.
Right. And you can't just have the body in there because they filmed the rest of the movie in there.
Yeah, one of the things I would like is if you saw, like, footprints of her scampering away, but not necessarily that she came back, because I think that with her crab walk on the ceiling or whatever, it could be so much cooler to have the threat of, "Well, she's somewhere."
Right. Yeah. That works.
Yeah. I think of these things, and it's like, I wish somebody would have consulted with me when I was working at Starbucks part-time when this movie came out. So LAPD, the car approaches, and Charlie's holding her belly, approaches it holding her belly. Michael is watching, which is Paul Bettany, who's come and intervened. Uh, Quaid wants to see his teeth to see that he's not evil. They're not sharp. And then there's the gun on Quaid. It's an odd introduction, but it's effective and it's quick and it moves on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just him saying, "I'm a bigger badass than you because I'm holding a shotgun at you, telling you to do all this stuff." He snatches it away and points the gun at his forehead. And he's like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah, and it's cool because they know it's LAPD from afar, and it's like clearly this is something weird. So it gets
Yes.
their attention. Like if you've ever it's weird being from California and going to a place that's even like relatively podunk because people actually care.
Right.
To us, it's just humdrum home. Like people think that Hollywood's rad. Hollywood smells like piss.
It does. And
I
there's
don't like
trash
it.
everywhere.
Yeah, like so people think that it's this like glamorous thing. It's like it's not.
It's
So
serious. I went to Dallas once and I was like, "Oh, it's like LA, but clean."
yeah, but humid.
Yeah.
Not. I'd rather have piss than humidity. Sorry.
Oh, all right.
You're not the same.
No, I could literally live in any weather.
You're a
Cold,
weird person.
hot. I am weird.
Too fucking nice. It just makes me angry. I'm like, I just got clean. Why do I have to shower again? So Michael that notes that more of the villains will be approaching, and so there's a little quick baby montage of them barricading themselves into the diner, and then the ice cream truck appears.
Yes.
This is a big missed opportunity for me. Doug Jones and
Right.
everything.
Yeah, you
It's
guys
too quick.
you have like one of the best like creature actors. Um and he's like 3 minutes,
Maybe.
maybe. Yeah, probably not even that.
Yeah. And he's in the trailer. I mean, that the scene where he's yelling and his jaw just kind of keeps drooping is very effective. 'Cause it's like a familiar effect that you see in cartoons, but it's so disorienting to see in this kind of venue. I really liked it.
Yeah, I definitely did, and I don't even think that was the best part. I think the best part is his arms grow super long so he could do like this very
Spindly.
different, yeah, type of like a crab walk, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a gallop
Yeah,
to it, which is kind of cool, almost like the way a gorilla would move, but with really long appendages. And
exactly.
it's weird because Alimony's like excited to hear the ice cream truck. It
Yeah.
reminds me of
He's like bleeding out and he's like, or yeah. No, the other guy,
the
right?
other guy, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The guy who doesn't smoke anymore but carries his lighter. Like a hot dog. Hopefully I have enough pennies to rub together to buy myself a push pop after I pay this alimony. So he crawls out. Tyrese, he says, "Oh,
He
that's
doesn't
where
look so bad.
yeah, he don't look so bad," which is very specifically the vernacular he uses. And then there's cars pulling up and there's shooting. This is where you get the gratuitous explosion on the very minor fender bender. Do you remember
Right.
this? Yeah,
Yes.
what is very innocuous, but because it's an action movie, boom. There's a little girl who comes out with the demon black eyes and a balloon when they're all of them walking forward.
Yeah.
Big fan, reminiscent of the little girl from Dawn of the Dead for me. Liked it.
Right.
Little kids, you like scary little kids because you have two of them
Yeah. Yes. I'm not usually scared of kids, but my kids could be creepy.
at 4 in the morning with their hair in their face.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah. My children do it all the time. They'll walk up to my side of the bed, not my wife's. I don't know how she got that.
Free pass, get out of jail free card.
But yeah, I mean, if you have girls, like they have long hair and when they sleep, it's all over the place and just hangs in front of their face like the ring girl, and they'll just sit there and stare at me. And I'm like, what the heck, kid?
Yeah,
Just you can wake me up, you can say daddy, but even when they do that, they sound creepy because they're so tired. They're just like, daddy. And you're like, oh my God, thanks for waking me up.
yeah, your littlest one hates me. So I can only imagine what it'd be like because she always like, I don't know if she's glowering at me or if she's trying to like pop my head like a grape. I feel like you should have her checked because she might be in like one of the characters from Scanners. But I can only imagine what that would be like hovering over your bed. No good.
Yep. She's pretty serious sometimes.
She's your stoic, and then your oldest is like, "Woo, let's party!" So I'm
Yes.
like, "Oh, you're loud and crazy. We're gonna get along just fine."
But can you imagine if you're loud and crazy and then you have another, the other one's going to be the opposite
Yes,
because one has all the attention.
yes. So here's a weird one. A demon jumps through the window and takes the father out of the diner and says, "See what you made me do, mother."
Right. Yeah. That I was like, is there a clip missing that this happened? Like,
It
I
makes
don't
no
understand
sense
it.
because daddy issues is still there.
Right.
I don't understand what's going on. Is there another kid that they like left at home?
Right. I have no idea for this. I
Maybe
thought they were I thought it was like a clip where they thought they were gonna take away daddy issues and she was gonna be the demon lady. And then I was like, no, that didn't work.
doesn't make sense. Because then also the dialogue that she has with Tyrese on the roof or concealed carry, it doesn't seem like it was written for anybody else because that perspective doesn't work.
Right.
Very weird.
Very
I
strange.
guess maybe she's calling her mother in the sense that it's like a title of mother, not my mother.
I guess.
I hope so. Otherwise, a glaring plot hole that just took up 27 seconds of conversation.
Unless they're talking about it as being the urgent uh her being the mother for the new coming of Christ.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
But still, it's still strange that the angels are
Well, perfect that you say that because this is where we get to the scene of exposition where Paul Bettany, Jarvis, is telling Alimony, "Hey, bud, this is the plan. God is doing effectively a new flood, and He's going to kill all of you and start completely over." And refers to the angels as quote an extermination.
yes.
Cool. This is where you get the rule, and you find out that the angels are not demons, and that the people who are possessed is that. Again, it'd be very nice if you had some kind of trace of that. Like if they had halos all throughout, you'd be like, "That's weird," but maybe it's like Ghost Rider and his head's on fire or something. And then when he says that, you're like, "Ah, it's the eureka moment. I get that it's an angel," but none of that happens. And we're 10 years too late to give that criticism.
Yes. I think halos wouldn't work, but yeah, definitely having like some minor glow or something like we discussed would probably be better.
I think it's the cheapest option in terms of a special effect like
Right.
that. Because if it were up to me, I think what I would do is have them have shadows that had wings. But then
Okay.
it's too on the nose and it's too easy to tell that they're demons
Right.
or angels, not demons.
Which has been done. Supernatural does it all the time.
Yeah, I've never watched it.
Oh, all right.
What, 50 fucking seasons or something like
I've
that?
seen every single one.
Jesus,
I
you
told
watch
you, I watch
everything.
everything. I
I
just like sit at home and plug in like the Matrix. It's like,
I know kung fu. All right, let's move on. Oh yeah, Alimony tells him he doesn't believe in God, and so he's like, God doesn't believe in you either.
yeah, that's why we're all here to kill you.
I fucking love it because like it works on many levels. He's obviously talking about man as a species, but he's also at the same time being like, no, you personally, you suck. Like
Yeah.
you're a lame ass person. And the fact that you would tell an angel after a demon punched you across this fucking room that you don't believe in God is a waste
Yeah,
of time.
walking on the roof and everything. Yeah. It's very strange. I the weird like I completely don't believe in anything after something completely supernatural happens is always like so weird for me. Like it's like in the movie. Like the giant case of denial that just keeps continuing on. It's like how much more do you need to see before you believe is annoying sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, reasonable belief makes sense. You know, if somebody is seeing something on TV and they're like, "Oh, that could be Photoshop or whatever," okay, that's fine. I would be that cynical.
Right.
But when you have somebody who's like witnessing it in person, it's like,
An old
okay.
lady that's in her like 80s to 90s running on the roof. You're like, "Oh, yeah, I give up."
Well, also a swarm of locusts that lasts for 5 seconds only when you're trying to flee, but as soon as you get back, completely dissipates.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of stuff. We move on. We're now on a rooftop scene where you have what did we name the one-handed cook?
Oh,
Did we name him?
yeah, we totally did. I forget.
Mr. Hookhand. I don't know. Oh, Hooky Cookie. Let's call him that.
Okay.
He confronts him about having his gun. He then concealed carry says it's only for protection. I've never used it. I've just flashed it. Well, that makes it so much better that you're carrying a firearm.
Yes. I use it to intimidate people. I don't really hurt them.
Bless your little heart.
Uh,
And then Percy, Hooky Cook, tells him the story of his dad asking if he would be proud if today was his last day. And that's the best acting in the film.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
a very simple moral. It makes the character humanizing. It builds their relationship, though it's never really played on again. And it felt less like a filler conversation than any of the other ones that occur in or on the diner.
Yes.
Moving on to the interior, Quaid, Dennis Quaid, who's Alimony, gives Mommy Dearest a beer. And it's a small detail, but I liked it. Did you notice that when she takes the beer from him, she takes her wadded up snot Kleenex and wipes off the mouth before she opens it to take a drink?
No, I didn't.
It establishes her like status very well, I think.
Oh, yes.
So then we find out that Michael was a soldier who was a general in the army, and he was given an order he didn't believe in, and he lost faith in God. And he talks very specifically about how humans were the object of God's affection, so he loves them. And he is talking to Jeep and tells him that people like Jeep are the reason that he has faith in humanity because, uh, you know,
Because he's simple.
he's pathetic. Yeah,
No, it's weird because that's what I was thinking. Is like they should definitely make this guy super compassionate, which they try to, but they just make him seem more like, yeah, I am an idiot and I don't know what I'm doing. This guy just needed to be more of like a monk type of character, like super.
stoic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that. Super forgiving, super, yeah, nice. Not have any way of just being stupid because then it's like, why would they want to save us?
The thing I have a hard time with is a lot that faith is just meant to supplant objective questioning, right? Like in this scenario, it's just the fact that he blindly wants to move forward, but that's not practical at all. That's naivete. If you know that there's a risk and you're just like, oh, things are going to work out, that's not faith. That's ignorance. And I think that that's something that I kind of didn't like about this scene. But because the character is almost portrayed in like a comedically dumb way, it kind of made it seem like maybe Paul Bettany was kind of being tongue in cheek in that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like Like, "Oh, I'm gonna pat you on the head, you simpleton. Thank you for all the help."
Yeah, it could, but it doesn't make sense at the end because he's like, "Oh, no, you're gonna be the one to completely watch over her." Yeah, so I don't know.
Then it cuts to a lookout view. It's like in heaven, I guess. And it's a flashback of Michael and Gabriel having a discussion about, loving man and defying God. Super brief. It's cool because it establishes a backstory. So when you see Gabriel later, you're like, ah, it's that guy.
Right, and it shows a little bit of, like, I guess what heaven looks like, which is strange, but
Crappy.
yeah,
What was that? Was Gods of Egypt movie? It looked just like that.
it did. Yeah, like pyramids in the sky sort of thing
Yeah.
and long hallways, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
So then the mom wakes up, dearest wakes up in the interior of it. She goes to the window and she sees the husband, daddy from Daddy Issues, on an inverted cross covered in CGI boils.
Yes.
And so she elbows Tyrese in the face. She pushes her daughter. She opens the door. You have the cook tries to grab her and pull her in. As the boils explode, he turns his back to keep her protected. They walk in. He pushes her in, and he falls face down. Backbone. He's the backbone of the film.
That's
That's
what
what
it
it was.
was. Yeah, backbone.
And I thought it was a fun effect. Super cool. Uh,
Because he's also the only religious one there. So that's
exactly.
why it was the backbone too. Yeah.
I loved it. I thought that was a fun kill. Um, Predictable to a certain extent, but I thought it was fun.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I liked it.
Uh, in the fridge, you have the scene where Alimony's upset because he's saying it's his fault because on lookout at the time was Jarvis and Alimony, which is kind of weird. They weren't like circling, and so Alimony fell asleep. So he's saying it's my fault that my friend's dead, who I've worked with for years and everything, because I couldn't stay awake. Yeah, it was your fault. Like you should feel bad.
Yeah.
Moving on. Cut to the dining area. The girl is trying to help her mom, gives her some meds, whatever. The mom says it's the daughter's fault and they were only moving because of her. Tyrese intervenes. Then there's the radio broadcast. They talk about safe areas. Michael is like, that is not happening. We are not going there. That's a
Right.
terrible idea. Did the voice on the radio sound like Optimus Prime to you?
Oh, I don't remember it that well.
It sounded exactly like it to the point where I am willing to be Googling it right now on the air. So if you don't mind looking at the storeroom, Prego and
Oh.
Cheap are talking. I will.
Yeah, so, she starts talking about how she doesn't even want the baby. Um, and Jeep has faith in her?
Yeah. She's like, he's the blind faith that he has in her that she's going to be able to be good at everything, like
Oh,
good at
yeah,
being a
that's
parent
right.
and all that.
God, every time, man, with this guy, I just kinda tune him out too. Yeah, so it's him just saying, "Oh, I totally believe in you, even though you're smoking while pregnant." And, yeah, you don't even know whose baby it is, or they kinda allude to that, it's kinda strange.
But
So
I think it's the fact that she doesn't know because it's immaculate conception.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange though, 'cause he's just totally like, "I totally believe in you," when you've shown me absolutely nothing of why I should trust you.
Character or fortitude. And
Exactly.
that's when he says, stop feeling, let me know when you stop feeling sorry for yourself. So at least you see he has some kind of a spine, albeit weak.
Right.
Rooftop, you got Tyrese and the girl. They talk about her ex being into guns. So that's why she knows what guns are. But she tells him that it wasn't her friends who were the bad influence, it was her. Goes back to the interior. The radio comes back on. Car approaches. Jesus Christ. The car is like a minivan. There's a kid inside. The
Yeah.
dad gets hit by another car. The kid is there. This is so obvious.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a ploy. It's basically they all are completely normal. The guy tries to fill his car up with gas. All the angels come and start like grouping around them like they're going to mob kill them. And Tyrese is like, "No!"
Yeah.
He
And then the
jumps and
kid,
slides down off the roof, goes to save a kid. He's holding all of them back, and he's holding the kid close to his chest. And then the kid goes, "I fooled you," and bites his neck.
yep. And then the girl tries to kill the kid, but she's out of ammo. So she hides in the van. And then this is where Prego, Urchin Mary tells
Yes.
Jarvis, she's like, yo, dog, if you don't do something, I will. And he's like, well, I can't have you doing that. So let me take these fancy guns and go do something. The best part of this is when he uses the gas pump as a flamethrower, right?
Yes, for sure.
And then other than that, we're done because boom, she starts going into labor. The horn sounds. black lightning. Then you can see the horde of people around the diner, which is great because they're all standing. It's almost like the cover of that horror noir movie or documentary that's out now, where they're like kind of silhouetted with this eerie kind of blue light. Simple, I like it, gets to the point. And then you have Paul Bettany telling them that even though she gave birth to the baby, they're not safe. They're gonna have to run forever. My
Well,
wife,
they're not safe, but they are safe from the lesser angels
correct,
because like they can't come in and kill the new Jesus now
exactly.
because he's too strong.
But somebody like Gabriel can.
Right.
So that's what he's kind of like. My wife hated the fact that they used a doll for the baby. I was actually very happy that they did because it drives me crazy when you see like a 2-year-old baby in fake placenta and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah, they're so big and fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the baby cry hurts the ears of the monsters, which is kind of cool. It instantly shows that power that you're talking
Right.
about. Admit that the what, admits that the baby was not supposed to be born. Oh, yes, obviously. The mom steals the baby because she wants to escape because they had tied her up because she was going so crazy. Mom being mommy dearest, the mother of
Right.
daddy issues. And she tries to kidnap the kid. And the daughter's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she's like, "Come on, we're leaving. We want to go." And so they shoot her. The bad guys, monsters, take her from behind. They catch the baby.
No, this
Baby's
is
fine.
this is Gabriel that snatches her out the door.
Is it Gabriel?
Yeah, because the glowing light, and they show him
Right.
like his eye vision flying through the
That's
air,
right. I even have
kind
the
of
note
like
about it.
Lost Boys.
Yes.
Yeah, and so when that happens, there's a big light building behind her, and you're like, okay, obviously she's gonna get like ripped through the door or whatever.
Yeah, I have angel vision flying down. And then the mom says it's just one baby. That kind of bargaining is it's like Sophie's choice kind of. It's like
Right.
I'll trade this stranger's baby for my baby, even though I hate my baby because she's the reason my husband died. But whatever, it's no big deal. uh, then yes, Jeep catches the baby, and Gabriel enters with the wings swinging the mallet or mace. I love that his wings are bulletproof. Super
Yes,
dope.
this is the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah, when he guts alimony with his razor wings, super cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, that's so sweet. This is like the first time I think I've seen like a angel in like a battle where I was like, oh, this is super cool the way that they've completely shown like what it would be like if an angel is actually fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just like someone just flying around and just catching people
Yeah.
like in the X-Men movies.
God damn. Angel is so useless
Uh,
because he's underutilized. The idea that you could like tuck those wings into a trench coat and just walk around. I mean, I don't like a lot of the X-Men, and he's probably my least favorite one for that reason. But Archangel is
oh, yeah.
badass, and I feel like they took
Because that's very similar. He has like the metal wings. He could shoot out like metal like knives out of his wings.
and he's demented because he's
Right.
been corrupted by Apocalypse to be the Angel of War or the Horseman of War.
Right.
So, or Death.
I don't
He's
know.
death.
He's one of the four horsemen.
Yeah, of the Apocalypse. Hence the name Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
But
yeah, anyway, he
So
does come in and he has like a little talk with his brother,
yeah.
Michael.
And Michael tells Jeep, to learn or to gather the prophets and learn to read the signs. And he's like, "What does that mean?" Oh, you'll know.
You'll know because we don't really want to tell you in the movie.
Yeah, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
They could have had a scene where they like rush to the fridge and he's like, "Okay, you're gonna get tattoos, and the tattoos are gonna mean this, and this is that." No, fuck off. Just say it.
Right.
So they get to character with bag head wheezing hit car with stick.
Yes. So basically,
Oh yeah,
yeah, he says, "Go out the back. I'm gonna deal with Gabriel." They walk out the back, and all of the angels have their heads kind of like bowed, leaving a pathway for the new Jesus because he's too powerful now for them to kill. They can't even really look at him, I guess, because they're kind of all have their heads bowed. Oh, Jake says I'm too far away. And so then they start walking to a car, and then there's this one guy that has a bag on his head with a stick, and he's just hitting the car.
Yeah,
and I was like, "What? This is so strange."
Without context, it's not. And then you're like, "Oh, wait, no, that makes sense."
Yeah.
So then there's the dialogue with Gabriel and Michael. They clap hands. There is no other way, and they duel. All right,
Yes.
cool. Kind of a generic fight scene. Well, not generic, but predictable fight scene. He does the same thing where he tries to gut Michael with the wing, doesn't quite work. He flips onto his back. He starts trying to choke him out. Gabriel stabs himself through with a mace, killing Michael, who dies and lights up.
And disintegrates.
Yep. So suddenly Jeep gets covered in tattoos, and he's like, the instructions. Lightning. Oh yeah. This is where you have Alimony doing the lighting of the lighter and says, "Sorry, we're out of business," and does the
Right.
explosion. You should have said that 15 years ago and
Yeah.
got the fucking insurance money, bub. But whatever. Gabriel flies out and lands on a car, on their car. They slam the brakes. He flies through and out, hitting the road. The baby, who is less than an hour old, gets in a car accident where the car is flipping and twisting and slamming. Completely fine.
Well, it's Jesus, the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah. They crawl out.
But mommy issues dies in the car. They don't show her at all.
Oh yeah.
They're like the what is it? Jeep goes, "What about mommy issues?" And Urchin goes, "Nuh-uh." And that's it.
Done deal.
And he's like, "Oh,
maybe
let's
baby
go."
Jesus could have used those healing hands or the resurrecting hands.
Yeah, it's just
There's a reason why she was
strange.
mommy issues and not Lazarus. But so Jeep tackles Gabriel off of a cliff. Like, raw, he has wings. Like,
Right.
not gonna work. And so he says, "Fuck you." And suddenly Michael appears with wings, and he's like, "This can't be. You disobeyed him." And then this is the hacky kind
The
of Dr.
line.
Phil line where
Do
he's
the
like,
line.
it's like, "You gave him what he wanted. I gave him what he needed." And I was like, it sounds like something that some hoe says to some wife on Jerry Springer. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, "You thought that he wanted that, but he wanted to get railed in the ass with my dick." And it's like, "Oh, we're gonna fight."
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So then he refuses to kill Gabriel, and then Gabriel's like, "I would not have shown you such mercy." And then he replies, "I know. That's why you failed him." And that's the good line.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the better line.
I like that a lot
Yeah.
because it shows that's New Testament Jesus, who I'm okay with. Old Testament can kind of fuck off. Well, there's no Old Testament Jesus. That's the point, but I think you get my meaning. Moving on. Michael flies away, and then it's them looking at the hilltop as the sun rises, and they descend into the valley. Then they're driving in a car.
Well, there's a whole like city in the valley too.
Yeah.
So
But they're driving away from it, which is weird.
yeah.
And the baby is not in a car seat.
Nope.
Bitch, you knew you were going to have a kid. Like, you've known it for 8 months. Come on now.
But the kid flies through the car anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's fine.
Yeah, I guess so. I wonder if he like is bouncy and they could do the Toxic Avenger thing that we were talking about with Shaquille O'Neal and Kazam.
Yeah, where he just rolls him up in a ball and bounces him.
Yeah. Jeep's sitting there and he's like, "I want to play hoops." And Urchin's like, "Well, we don't have a ball." And he's like, "Let me see that baby." She's like, "Not again. You're going to draw attention to us as we're like skulking around the Midwest." Southwest, sorry. Is it Southwest? I don't even say where it is.
I don't
Huh?
know. They don't. Yeah, I don't even think they say.
We'll say Southwest.
Well,
You are
they
now
said that
free
they're
move
close
about
to
the country.
Vegas, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's where Thug is from.
exactly. Or going. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Whatever. We're done.
Whatever.
Credits roll. Chad. Classic, tragic.
Oh, I always forget what these are.
Classic is good. Tragic is good, bad. Tragic is bad.
Good, bad.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tragic that could have been classic is my opinion as well.
I agree. Yeah.
It's not going to
yeah.
be Blood Diner. It just doesn't. There's nothing that will. And this movie, that's the frustration, is it's a tragic because of failures in genre, but overall it did what it did well. I would have
Right.
liked to see practical effects, but I'm a stickler for practical effects. I even was as a kid watching Independence Day, so
Right.
I'm not the guy to ask really.
I think, yeah, definitely having a little bit more horror aspects versus just action, it would have been even better.
Yeah. Especially
Like,
because the
I mean,
action
like-
is aimless. Like just
Right.
shooting a
They
gun
shut
in
off the
directions.
power at some time. If you had like some of the angels getting in and like totally killing some of them in like more creepy way would be much better than
Or
just
just like
like
a
we're gonna just
silhouette, yeah.
randomly shoot constantly like an old 90s action.
Yeah, like it's a random silhouette of an angel inside when the light's dark, and then it cuts away, then it cuts back, and it's gone. Something like that could be really effective, super
Right.
simple, low cost, but sets its tone. Didn't do it, but like I said, the movie's fun. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. I recommend Priest as well. If you haven't seen that, or if you have seen that, you'd like us to review that, let us know. I'd be interested in doing it. Maybe Chad can get back in the co-host seat and we can do that one next. Hey yo.
Oh.
Chad's like, fuck that.
Let's take a poll. If I at least have 30%, I'll do one.
30%. Oh, so what are the options? 30% for priest is the minimum for you to come back and do it.
Yep.
What's the other option? Chad fucks off.
Yep.
Okay. I will put that poll up personally. So, Chad, why don't you use that fancy catchphrase that I gave you and we'll get out of here for the week.
Oh my god, I forgot that too. Oh, that's right. Enjoy killing time until next week.
And for Chad, I am Jake, speaking for Brian, who is elsewhere, not on this screen, reminding you to go out there and do something you love. And remember that all work and no power play makes Jack a dull boy.